Call Haloim Yahweh, Bahasham, Mashak Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash, Barak Thumb. Shalom. This is your fellow servant Tazawar from the GMS Orlando camp, here with another lesson. First, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, whom rule well, and from whom we learn his truth. Shalom to you, Akim, who are not in GMS, but are pushing likewise doctrine in spirit and in truth with all sincerity. To you few sisters that are listening and learning, as well as you speckled birds who are scattered among the nations, looking like those nations. To the 144,000 elect men, and the rest of the hopeful elect, to you I say, Shalom. This lesson was inspired by a video from the brother Yahweh Call Ibad. All right, he's in the camp. I watched a video that he did recently, and during his street teaching, when he was abroad, he said something that is definitely true and powerful at the same time. And what the brother Yahweh Call said was, in a nutshell, he was basically saying that us Israelites, all right, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, through all of our suffering, right, tribulation, trials, temptations that we go through, and ailments in the flesh, that basically the state that we're in currently is to humble us, right? He said it was a lesson in humility, right? A lesson in humility, and that's what this lesson will be titled. All right, lesson in humility. And the brother Yahweh Call has that brother be on point with the titles. All right, for the lessons or whatever, or the topics for lessons. And beloved brother. Anywho, let's get into the lesson. But that's where I pulled inspiration from, is that beloved brother Yahweh Call. Shalom, Akia. Let's start in I'm not going to do a bunch of rambling today. Let's get to the quicker things. Let's cut to the chase, as they say. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 22. All right. And it reads, you see the heading there right above verse 1, the sins of Israel. Ezekiel 22 and 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Now, thou son of man, wilt thou judge the bloody city? Yea, thou shalt show her all her abominations. All right. Then say thou, Thus saith the Lord God Yahweh, the city sheddeth blood in the midst of it, that her time may come, and maketh idols against herself to defile herself. All right. thou art become guilty in thy blood that thou hast shed, and hast defiled thyself in thine idols which thou hast made, and thou hast caused thy days to draw near, and art come even unto thy years. Therefore have I made thee a reproach unto the heathen, and a mocking to all countries. All right. And this is true. The prophet Ezekiel was speaking on this in the ancient time, but this is true even today. Okay. Now, albeit we are not in our homeland, but in this land, one of the many lands of our captivity, okay, this reigns true. Okay. Idol worship is rampant here in Babylon the Great. That is one of the things that this society, this country boasts itself in. All right, along with freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, freedom of religion. Right, you can worship who you want to worship. Right. We are slowly witnessing the downfall of this queendom, all right, this society. And there will come a time where the Constitution will be null and void. At least that's what we believe. And things are definitely trending that way, for those that are not spiritual or less spiritual, or maybe don't have that gift of discernment, but the scriptures say that draconian laws basically will come down. That's a different lesson though. All right, verse 5, we're going to pick up where we left off. Verse 5, those that be near and those that be far from thee shall mock thee, which are infamous and much vexed. All right, behold, the princes of Israel, everyone were in thee to their power to shed blood. All right, in thee have they set light by father and mother. In the midst of thee have they dealt by oppression with the stranger. In thee have they vexed the fatherless and the widow. All right, thou hast despised mine holy things and hast profaned my Sabbaths. All right, now we know here, again, back to this society, the main culprit of the current state of our oppression, right, an ongoing cycle. I'm not going to say culprit. The main forwarder, right, the nation that forwards these things the most is indeed our enemy from the womb. Okay, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Now, this is done via customs and traditions that are placed in the land. The religions that are pushed, mainly in our communities, all right, which are incentivized by 501c3. Okay. The churches and liquor stores that's on every other corner or every third corner in all the hoods, in the cities, all right, that our demographic are heavily populated by or populated with. Okay. In addition to some of the laws that are set against us on the books, like that 3 strikes law. All right. And we know there's certain precedents that are set in the law of the land, the courts of the land here, which tend to go against our favor. And another thing is, look at the culture that's for it. Black culture, hip hop. All right. And hip hop in itself, the the style and the rhythm, all those things that make hip hop what it is are not necessarily bad. It's the messages that are being pushed through the culture and the music. All right, because if that same energy or vibration or swag was used to push righteousness, then what could one say about that? Right? Now, obviously, we don't want to mix the things of this world with the ministry. So, because of the reputation that black culture and hip hop have garnered in the earth, not just here in America, we advise against mingling the things of the world with those things that are spiritual. All right? Because we want to keep the ministry blameless. And we've seen that the Christian churches have not done that. And because of that, we've also seen how the ministry, the doctrine, and the message has been perverted. Okay? That's just a point of reference I wanted to bring out. All right? So the culture itself, hip hop culture, rap culture, topics being spoken on in the music, how our women are getting down, Anyway, hey, because quiet is kept. No, and it ain't quiet at all, really. Your Cardi B's and your Nicki Minaj's, your Sexy Red, your Ice Spice, your Glorilla, all of them, they are a far cry from like Queen Latifah and MC Lyte and women like that. Now, don't get it twisted. Those women of the old school, they also had some records that was kind of raunchy too. But they had more conscious shit that they was pushing as well in some instances. Anywho, continuing on. So I was going into the religion, right? Because talking about profane my Sabbaths. So that goes into not just the weekly Sabbath, all right, which we track via the lunar calendar, but also the holy days, all right, that are considered Sabbaths or days of rest. Okay? Our people don't keep any of those. Verse 9. In thee are men that carry tails to shed blood. So moving down, we're going to read down a few more verses, and you're going to see a lot of these sins that are going to be listed here are the same things that people doing today. All right? Ezekiel 22:9. In thee are men that carry tails to shed blood, and in thee they eat upon the mountains. All right? In the midst of thee they commit lewdness. In thee have they discovered their father's nakedness. In thee have they humbled her that was set apart for pollution. All right? And one hath committed abomination with his neighbor's wife, and another hath lewdly defiled his daughter-in-law, and another in thee hath humbled his sister, his father's daughter. In thee have they taken gifts to shed blood. All right, thou hast taken usury and increase, and thou hast greedily gained of thy neighbors by extortion, and hast forgotten me, saith the Lord God. All right. Now, when you go back and you read those, some of those sins from 9 on down, those things are very prevalent in the black community. All right, the so-called black community, the Negroes. All right. Actually, let's go up and get that in the NLT. So this is Ezekiel 22 and 9 in the NLT on the right side of the page to kind of make it plain for you. People accuse others falsely and send them to their death. All right. You are filled with idol worshippers and people who do obscene things. Men sleep with their fathers' wives and have intercourse with women who are menstruating. All right. That's a big one for Jake, too. Popping abroad while she on the cycle. All right. Within your walls live men who commit adultery with their neighbors' wives, who defile their daughters-in-law, or who rape their own sisters. Who grape their own sisters. There are hired murderers, lone racketeers, and extortioners everywhere. They never even think of me, my commands. They never even think of me and my commands, says the sovereign Lord. All right. But now I clap my hands in indignation over your dishonest gain and bloodshed. Okay. Now, again, as I mentioned, you have Esau Edom that's sitting at the helm of all that. But what has he done? He's set up just like in the ancient times, during the time of the Romans and the Grecians. All right, you had those men that the Edomites had set up as gatekeepers or overseers. All right, informants, if you will. They're gatekeepers, basically, of our nation. Okay, so these people were Israelites that have taken bribes and deals, all right, from the nation that's oppressing us. Okay, and to keep our mind away from the Heavenly Father, or to be hypocrites, they take these bribes. Again, 501c3. All right. Music records and label companies. Okay, this goes back to the culture that I was mentioning before. From religion to the music to the movies. All of that. Okay. All while dangling that carrot on the stick in front of you. If you just do this, if you do that, you can get the riches like how we got. But there is a glass ceiling. All right, there's a glass ceiling that you niggas just ain't gonna get. All right, because you gotta sell your soul to get it. You can't get it by being honest. All right. Anyway, I had some more on this. I was gonna read down a few more, but I think that's you all get the picture. Why I brought this out to show some of the things that our people have done and are continuously doing it to this day. All right. Actually, I'll continue on. Back on the left side of the page, Ezekiel 22. I'll just do less commentary on these. Ezekiel 22 and 13. Behold, therefore I have smitten mine hand at thy dishonest gain which thou hast made, and at thy blood which hath been in the midst of thee. Can thine heart endure, or can thine hands be strong in the days that I shall deal with thee? I, the Lord, have spoken it, and will do it. All right. And I will scatter thee among the heathen, and disperse thee in the countries, and will consume thy filthiness out of thee. All right. And thou shalt take thine inheritance in thyself in the sight of the heathen, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. All right. So these things have happened, man. We know we've been scattered. We know we've been under the curses. All right. And the Lord has he's dealt with us in like fashion. All right. He's punished us for the things that we've done. And he's punished us less than what our sins deserve, as the scriptures say. But we've also seen the terror of the Lord through his judgments. Okay. And soon, people will start to put one and one together, because, violence is turning up in the earth. All right. Just from, if you look at from the time of the 80s and 90s, of course, the violence has always been in our community and against Jake, but if you look at the overall state of the world, the scriptures say that the love of many shall wax cold, right? Meaning people will become psycho. Like, there's no code of conduct anymore. There's no moral fiber, morality. All right. At least in the ancient times, people tried to be covert with their sins, right? Or I'm not even gonna say the ancient time. In the 80s and the 90s, people tried to be a little more covert with that. There was still shame. Now there's no shame. All right. So all of these mass unalivings, all right, from people just, getting a stick, getting a glizzy, and just flick it, flick it. You know what I'm saying? Playing duck hunter and shit with real live people. All right, going Grand Theft Auto in real life. Or terrible, quote unquote, accidents happening, which people call tragedies, right? The wars and all of those things. All these things are occurring because the Lord is turning up the frequency of judgment in the earth, man. All right. And soon it will be, what does it say? Sedition among men. Right? And then shall people know that that's from the Lord. Right? Verse 16 says, and thou shalt take thine inheritance in thyself in the sight of the heathen. All right. Now, in this case, our inheritance has always been what? The law, statutes, and commandments, and the promises. Right? Well, because we have dealt treacherously with the Lord, all right, and we've gone off from his way, we've seen the fruit of our actions. Okay? And we bear that in the nations, in the sight of the heathen. This is why we are reproached among all people. We're a byword, right? We're despised of all nations, even though we're the greatest people on the planet. We're the most talented. We're the smartest, right? The most athletic, the most musically inclined, the most spiritual. And yet, all of that for naught, man. Because we've been tapping into the left-hand side of things. And then this whole list of just wickedness that we went through. And these things run rampant in our community, man. All right. And again, because of all these things, the scriptures also say what? The Lord shall give them over to strong delusion. And he has. But those of us that have returned unto him, or have been awakened out of sleep, we're looking at our actions, our offenses, and then those of our nation, And we're like, oh shit. Because we often ask, all of us ask the question. The 1/3 and the 2/3 alike all ask one question. Why? How come all this shit happened to us? Slavery, right? Jim Crow, Jim Crow and apartheid, the same thing. But then we look at all the unrighteous decrees. You look at everything that happened to the natives, the so-called natives, right? And what I mean by natives is I'm talking about the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Native American Indian and the Seminole Indians, but also the so-called Mexicans. All right, Issachar is native to this land too, man. And the Tainos, they were native to the Caribbeans, or at least we was here before Esau Edom got here. All right, so when you look at us as a whole, especially Jake though, especially the so-called Negro, everybody want to know why. Like, how the fuck is it that we have all of this talent, all this greatness, all these inventions, all this know-how with the mind, everything, and we are on the bottom? How? Why? All these years? Right? Well, those of us that have been activated and given the eyesore, we now see is because we turned away from the Lord, man. And that is our lesson. That's the lesson in humility that the brother Yahweh was going into, man. Because on the up and up, on the one up, can't nobody fuck with us, man. So this is how we know that it was given from on high. The Lord gave our enemies power over us, because we dominate every sports arena, every combat sport, every sport of that's physical contact, all of that, speed, agility, everything. And again, all of the inventions that we made that we don't get credit for, or come out 50 years, 100 years after the fact that Jake made it. Now you like, oh shit, okay, so we got the mind and the body, right? That is truly superior. We are a great people. But consider a people that have such greatness. How great was the wickedness, right? When Jake set his hand to do evil, man. How great were the abominations when Jake was tapping into the left side? Those are things that we haven't seen, or we can't really comprehend on this side. All right? Because the customs and the traditions were given under the guise of like happiness and shit, like Valentine's Day and Christmas and Easter and all of this. But when you go back to the origins of those things, when people knew what the hell they was doing, and it wasn't, as the brother Nahalia say, it wasn't glitter covered shit. Right? When people knew what they was doing, they was close to the wickedness, to Molech, to Ishtar, to Kohesh, or whatever those abominable gods are. And the temple harlots, man. All right, let me grab. I might gotta do part two of 2 parts of this, because I'm only on getting a second. So let's grab Deuteronomy. Snap. I want Deuteronomy 8. Deuteronomy 8 and 2. All right. And it reads, and thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord Yahweh thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. And we know what we chose to do. Right? We know that we did not keep his commandments. Because when you get to Deuteronomy 28 and you go through the curses, you like, oh shit. The bottom done dropped out, because all of those curses are found upon our people, man. Upon our nation. Right? And the bottom of that verse is the point. All right? Well, actually, the middle to the bottom. I'm going to read that again. The middle of verse 2. To humble thee and to prove thee. The scriptures say to prove a friend. Well, the Most High was proving us, man. Yahweh was proving us. Just like a man also prove a wife. Right? How do you prove a wife? Well, in the ancient world, you would, a meeting between the families was set up, right? The parents would talk it out. Your pops would come talk to you like, hey, I got this young lady for you. That's going to be your wife. Whoop wop the bam. You go through the ceremony. Then you go into the wedding chambers, right? To humble and to prove her. You humble her with the act of intercourse. And the proving of her was through that blood on the sheet. All right. So likewise, today, how do you prove a woman? Well, today we have to use discernment, because many of us, don't have virgins. Right? So you prove her with discernment. All right. Can she follow instruction? Can she communicate effectively? Does she have a nurturing spirit? Is she fucking obedient? That go back to following instruction. Does she respect you? Right? And you find all these things out by planting seeds from the scriptures. All right? And seeing how she react to them. You do all these things, of course, before you lay with her. This is how it's supposed to be done. And you prove a brother or a friend the same way. Obviously, no homo. It ain't no alphabet soup drinking folks over here. But you prove a friend, or especially new friends or brothers, with seeds from the scriptures to see if you be on one accord or not. All right. Just like brothers are proved before they're allowed to come amongst the body of the camp, whether that be on the outside or in the camp. Right. This is why GMS don't do unity camps, because you got to prove the men that's around you. All right. Can a man fall in rank and file, even though a brother may be younger than him and hold a higher rank? Does he have a humble spirit, a meek spirit? Then that brother take instruction. Can he follow directions? Is he moving good faith? Which goes into the love that we're supposed to show our neighbors, right? Amongst our nation. Anyway, rambling. To humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. Right, now jumping down to 14. Let me see, do I want 14 or... Let's start at 12. I think I said 14. Let's start at 12. Lest, when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses, and dwelt therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, Then thine heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord Yahweh thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, who led thee through that great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions and drought, where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of the rock of flint. Yahweh did, right? Who fed thee, Salakia, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not. Our fathers never got angel food, right? That he might humble thee, and that he might prove thee, to do thee good at thy latter end. Right? The scriptures speak on the Lord having thoughts of peace for us and not thoughts of destruction. Right? To do thee good at thy latter end. And verse 17, and Salakia, shit. And thou say in thine heart, my power and the might of mine hand hath gotten me this wealth. And that's exactly the state that our people are currently in. Right? Because men be like, oh, well, I can't. You know, they come past the camp, they be like, oh, you know, love what your brother's doing, pushing the word. You know, the message is beautiful, this, that, but, you know, I can't really rock with y'all because, you know, the brother Azari was saying this cat came by, talking about he making like 3,000 a week, 5,000 a week, whatever it was, some outrageous amount of money, right? A week. Like, damn. So, hey, people chalk it up to they've gotten those riches on their own. You know, out of their own strength. And this is also one of the things that, like I spoke on earlier, that the gatekeepers, when they dangle that carrot in front of your face, man, that carrot on the stick, via sports, music, you know, whatever it is, a really good paying job, you know, but all those opportunities come from on high, all right? But you also have to consider that sometimes people are given those things for the purpose of separation from the Lord. Not to say that a brother can't be well-to-do and be a believer, all right, or be well-to-do and do the work and be of the faith. That's not what I'm saying, but it's customary. All right, the scriptures say what? You can't serve God and mammon, right? I'm quoting a lot of scriptures, but that's because, you know, we already got some that we bringing out. But the scriptures already say what? You can't serve God and mammon. You can't have two masters, man. So this is why one of the things that the brothers constantly push is that we're thankful, right, for our daily bread, right, for being given what's needful to us and being okay with that. Now, if you got a gift, right, and a hustle that the Lord blessed you with, that's not to say that you can't do those things if that's your gift and you make money doing that, but you got to keep that separate from the ministry. All right, and you cannot let that consume you. You have to be willing to let that shit go. A great example of that is all right, the apostle, no, Salakia, the elder brother Daniel Allah from GMS Dallas. All right, Daniel Allah. That brother was a dentist, man. He was a dentist, but when people found out he was in the truth and the gospel he was pushing, these niggas sabotaged his establishment, man. He had his own practice. He had to get that shit up, though. He lost it. You know, But he did not let that that practice or the threat of losing that practice steer him away from doing the work of the Lord, man. And because of that, the Lord has sustained that brother. I'm not sure what his case is now, but he seemed to be doing just fine, man. And from what I can tell from the videos that I've seen, the brother actually seemed to be in higher spirits, man. So you never know what the Lord's going to bless you with. But again, you have to be in that mindset. That brother's a beautiful example of forsaking shit from the world, man. Just be like, fuck it. All right? Leaning on the Lord. That's another example of humility, man. Because the proud, basically what this verse is going into is how niggas get proud. All right? When you go up, again, it say what? Your belly was full. You got good houses that you living in. Your cattle of the field didn't increase, right? Your flock of the pastures. So you full, right? You eating good. You living good. You got resources. All right, that's what the cattle and stuff going. You got resources. And to have cattle and stuff or flocks, you got to have land. So you got to have a water source. You got land. So you probably got pastures and gardens or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you have resources, man. And then it even talked about silver and gold. Money. Real fucking money, not paper. Right? Those things, you get that type of resources and status, man. People forsake the Lord. And this is what this verse is going into, man. Thinking that they did all this in their own might. Not knowing or forgetting the fact that the Lord maketh rich or poor. All things are ordained from on high, man. All right. Hey, I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to do a part 2. Salakia. All right. Anyway, because I'm over time on this lesson. We're going to pick it up here shortly. Anyway, I pray this lesson finds you well and may be edifying. Shalom.